So this is episode 3 of my season 3 druck rewatch. Before we get started, I just want to say one thing because I put it in like the outro of one of my other videos and I put it in the description too, I think, but I want to say it in a video. I plan on uploading on Wednesdays and Saturdays, hopefully around like noonish Eastern Standard Time, so just to give you an idea. That's the plan. If I don't upload on one of those days, it's because, I'm also in college and life is just a wreck sometimes, Just as a general rule, that's what I'm going to try to follow. So that's what to expect. And now let's get into it. The first part of episode 3. I didn't notice that Mateo was wearing David's beanie in my first watch through. Like, I just did not notice. I don't know how I didn't, but now that I know, it's real cute. Okay. Mateo seeing that moldy ass cheese and then just like putting it back in the fridge instead of throwing it out is the most seen that I've ever felt. Mateo doing that one thing makes him the single most relatable character in all of Scum. And this is also more of Mateo being a really shitty flatmate because he just does not care about the consequences of his actions. He does not care that he just took Hans's food. He's just like, ugh, whatever. I wish we'd seen more of a Mia and Mateo friendship. Like, if they had to have Mia have a big part of the season, I wish it was in that way instead of her unnecessary drama with Alex, which I do think is unnecessary. I really do. And he's back to lying again. Crazy that, like, just, I don't know, I guess yesterday or 2 days ago, he was standing in that same exact spot with David and being himself and being free, and now he's there again. He has a piece of David with him, but he's lying. I actually thought, when I was, like, writing my notes for this episode, I thought that Mateo is wearing the beanie when he takes the "How gay are you" quiz, but he's not. I was just gonna kind of talk about how ironic it is that he's wearing the beanie while he's taking this "Are you gay" quiz. Like, girl, first of all, if you're taking an "Are you gay" quiz, you're gay. Second of all, if you're wearing the beanie of your crush while you're taking that quiz, you're gay. So I was just going to talk about how funny that is. But now that I realize he doesn't wear the beanie, I think it's even more interesting that he makes a conscious decision to take the beanie off sometime in between his conversation with Mia and now, which we can assume there's not a lot of time that takes place between those two events because it's still the same clip. So right after Mia kind of talks to him about Sarah and asks how it is, and then he lies about not being with David. Right after that, he takes the beanie off, makes that conscious decision, even though we don't see it, he does it, and then he takes this quiz. He decides that it's too much of a contradiction, I guess, to be wearing the beanie while taking the quiz. This episode is all about Mateo's internalized homophobia. It really is. That is like the theme throughout this episode. I'm probably going to mention it so many times, so here's your drinking game now. Stay hydrated, drink some water every time I mention internalized homophobia, okay? And this is the first part. I imagine that Mateo, after being confronted with the fact that he's lying about everything going well with Sarah and then about being with David, I think that kind of freaks him out and makes him like kind of overwhelmed, and he takes off the beanie because it's like, oh god, all right. He takes the beanie off because he doesn't want to deal with that extra contradiction. He doesn't want to deal with that extra lie. He already lied about Sarah, he already lied about David. Keeping the beanie on his head is just another lie that he would have to deal with, and he just doesn't want to. He's just gonna keep it at arm's length as much as possible. He's still taking the quiz, which is interesting, but he's not doing it with the beanie on. He's not gonna go that far. He's not gonna be that big of a contradiction to himself, if that makes sense. Love the acne representation too. I'm pretty sure Michelangelo is like the youngest actor out of the Druck bunch, which is awesome. And I just love that you can actually see that this is what a teenager's face looks like. It's not perfect. Nora in Scum España also has a lot of acne. And I love it. They're not supermodels. This is another one of the best songs in this season, called I Am by Georgia Smith. I think I'm saying her name right. I hope. She deserves more respect than that if I said it wrong. And I think the editing of this is so perfect. We cut to Jonas, we cut to Carlos, we cut to Abdi, but then we pan up to Mateo. I don't know why it makes it funnier, but it just does. This scene is another surface level funny one, but kind of sad too, because you can see how much Mateo is just once again isolated from the guys. He's also leaning on his knee again, so another example of him not really holding his weight up. That girl is gay. Headcanon. She is. I don't know why. She just is. It's because she's pretty. That's all. I know we hate that gym teacher because of later events in the season, but that's fucking creepy. We'd love to watch. I hope you wouldn't like to watch. You're like 60. Those girls are like 16. Ugh. And that look of just like pure jealousy and disdain from Mateo as he looks at the dance teacher. As soon as Jonas kind of calls him out, you can see Mateo back up a little bit, which is definitely different from the original. There are a lot of differences between this and the original that are really interesting to talk about, and they all make perfect sense for Mateo versus Isaac, and this is the first one. As soon as Jonas says anything, Mateo is immediately kind of regretting what he said. I'm definitely not a German speaker. I don't know anything about German, but if that is correct and he says, "Since when do we insult gays?" I think that's so cool. And it tells you a lot about how Jonas sees the boy group, but even more specifically, how Jonas sees his relationship with Mateo. He's not just saying, "Since when do you insult gays?" Like, since when do we, as a group, as a collective, insult gay people? And that hits even harder when you realize that for Mateo, it probably doesn't feel so much like a we pronoun, because he does feel so isolated, even from Jonas. He's felt so disconnected from them all lately. He really does feel like it's just him and then the guys. Yes, Jonas. An ally. He pretty much mumbles all of that last part where he says, "It just came out wrong, all's good." And just that line shows a very big difference between Mateo and Isaac, but also the way he says it too. Like he's embarrassed, it's very clumsy. This entire conversation is clumsy from Mateo's side. There's a Tumblr post by GhostCat3000 kind of analyzing this scene, and they used the word clumsy when describing it, and I think it's absolutely perfect because that's what it is. He's tripping over the words, he's trying to kind of defend himself, but he can't, and he knows he can't. He knows that Jonas is right. Since Mateo is usually not one to speak out at all, like he's very quiet, it makes sense that he wouldn't be used to going against anyone, especially Jonas, his best friend. This is very in character for Mateo to just kind of drop it as soon as possible. He just does not like the confrontation. Super, super different from this scene in the original where Isaac is unbelievably defensive, and I think even says that Jonas is being pissy. He like tries to turn it back onto Jonas. It's a mess. It's a mess, but in a completely different way. This is a sadder, quieter mess. Mateo also apologizes to Jonas, which I didn't know about until kind of recently because I have been trying to look up as much of the social media and text as possible because there's so much of it for Druck. So I was looking it up and I saw that Mateo actually texts Jonas after this clip and apologizes. I think this could tell us two things. One, Mateo really cares about what Jonas thinks of him, and he's embarrassed that he was an asshole in front of Jonas. And then two, once again, I'm really just, this is the hill I'm gonna die on, but I really think that Matteo is one of, if not the most willing of all of the Isaacs to accept who he is. He knows in his heart, I guess, that sounds so cheesy, but he knows that he's wrong. And because this is the internalized homophobia episode, he fucked up. But he knows that what he said was so ignorant and stupid and coming from a place of just pure self-hatred, which he can't tell Jonas, but he can at least apologize, which he does. Now that I'm thinking about it even more, I think it could also be a sign of Matteo's emotional intelligence, which I do think he has quite a bit of. I think he's pretty mature when it comes to emotions. He's willing to apologize to people and to own up to what he's done. That might have something to do with the fact that he's stuck by his mom, who has a mental illness, and he, compared to Isaac, seems to care more for her. He seems to be a lot more forgiving of his mom and her illness than Isaac is. So maybe that's where that emotional intelligence comes from and that emotional maturity. So now he is confronted with his true feelings and his sexuality right after making some like real homophobic comments. So in the original, the scene plays a little bit differently. Evan walks up to Isaac, gives him the hat back. He just like casually throws it to him. And Isaac looks panicked. Like he looks like a deer in fucking headlights. He is so scared. And that's how Evan knows that something is up and that he should kind of play this act in front of Isaac's friends. But in this, Matteo just deadpans. Like, no emotion, nothing. He's not giving David anything. And that's how David knows to put on some kind of act. And it just shows how different those two characters are. Like, for Isaac, he wears his emotion on his sleeve and he's like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, please do something, Evan, please. But with Matteo, he's so used to apathy. He's so used to portraying this just deadpan, tired look. That's how he usually is with his friends. That's what he defaults to. You can imagine in his head he's pretty panicked right now, but he hides it better than Isaac is able to. He's so good at acting dismissive. He's gotten so good at acting that way. And honestly, it seems like he's used to feeling that way, not even used to acting like it, but feeling like it. And that is how David knows to kind of play along, because Matteo didn't act like that at all. With his friends, they don't notice anything because this is, Matteo being Matteo. But for David, this is a very different Matteo from what he's seen. This also might mean absolutely nothing, and it might be like a total coincidence, but for some reason, somehow, the clip begins with, like I said before, a song called I Am by Georgia Smith, and it ends with a song called Who Are You by Anderson .Paak or Paak. I don't really know how to say it. Surprise, surprise. But I feel like that's not a coincidence, right? I am, who are you? In a season that's so focused on identity, that can't be a coincidence. It starts with this certainty of I am. A lot of the lyrics are about like, this is who I am, I don't feel sorry about it, whatever. And then it ends with, who are you? I don't think it's a coincidence that the shift is David showing up. In the beginning, Matteo is playing his act, the act that he always plays. He looks disinterested. The boys probably should be able to notice, but it's Matteo being Matteo, so they don't. And then David comes in, and by the end of the scene, we go from I am to who are you. David kind of sows that discomfort in Matteo's identity. Or it means absolutely nothing, and it is a coincidence. I don't know, you tell me. Am I crazy? Probably. That's all I'm going to talk about for this part, so check back on Saturday for part 2 so we can finish the episode. Thanks for watching.